Okay, so you've almost definitely seen this giant blue guy somewhere online, right? For some people, he's this harmless character you see in fables for kids. But for others, he's a straight-up biological nightmare. Today, we're going to dive into the two completely different worlds of Huggy Wuggy and figure out how a single character can live two totally separate lives at the same time.
So, let's start with the version most people see on places like YouTube. In this story from a channel called Nikki I's Stories, Huggy Wuggy is basically just a normal guy who gets into a silly argument at the park. It's kind of mundane, a little weird, and totally harmless.
And it gets so ridiculous that both of them, Mr. Brown and Huggy Wuggy, actually end up in the back of a police car. So what happens? They just burst out laughing at how absurd the whole situation is. It's a simple little story about, getting over a dumb fight.
It's a funny little story for sure, but it brings up a massive question. Is this the real Huggy Wuggy? This kind of cuddly, slightly goofy character? The answer? Oh, it's not even close. To find the real story, we have to go somewhere much, much darker.
See, the real story doesn't start in a park. It starts inside a fictional toy company called Playtime Co. Now, on the surface, they just made toys that kids loved. But behind closed doors, they were hiding a really sinister secret. And this is where Huggy Wuggy was truly born.
So the company's official history starts out normal enough. 1984, the Huggy Wuggy toy comes out, it's a huge hit. But then you look a little closer at that timeline. See that? 1990, the Bigger Bodies Initiative. That's not a new teddy bear. That's where everything changes.
Yeah, the Bigger Bodies Initiative was not what it sounds like. This wasn't about making bigger toys for kids to hug. This was a secret project, happening deep inside the factory where nobody could see.
So get this, Playtime Co. wasn't just making toys. They were running these absolutely horrific, illegal experiments, reportedly on orphans, to literally bring their friendly mascots to life as these giant, living creatures.
And their #1 star, the lovable Huggy Wuggy, he got turned into something else. He wasn't a toy anymore. He was designated Experiment 1170.
And we're not talking about a big plushie. This was a living, breathing creature that stood a terrifying 18 feet tall. I mean, just imagine that. And you weighed almost 1,800 pounds. So you've got this massive, living monster that used to be a cuddly toy. And it was built for something, and it sure as heck wasn't playtime.
So, what do you even do with a monster like that? It's pretty clear he wasn't meant for hugging kids anymore. Nope. Playtime Co. had a very specific and very dangerous job for him.
Believe it or not, his official job was a security guard. Yeah, apparently he was super smart and would listen to the scientists. That is, as long as you didn't tick him off. If you showed any aggression, well, you were about to see a whole different side of him.
And this is where it gets just so creepy. That line, "He'll squeeze you until you pop," that's not some edgy fan theory. That's a real lyric from his official theme song, a song for kids. The double meaning there is just, wow. Absolutely chilling. So you really have to understand there are two completely different Huggies. You've got the mascot on the lunchboxes, right? Cartoon lips, no teeth, friendly bow tie. And then you have the experiment, a monster with rows of needle-sharp teeth and a second set of jaws hidden in its throat.
And don't think for a second that because he's huge, he's slow. No way. This thing was a perfect predator. He could stalk you without making a sound, then suddenly explode into a sprint on all fours. He could bend and twist his body to squeeze through tiny vents, and he was strong enough to punch dents into solid steel. They literally called him a natural-born killer.
And this isn't just a scary description on a file either. It actually happened. In 1992, Experiment 1170 got out. He went on a complete rampage, killed at least 5 employees. And the weirdest part? They found him just standing, motionless, in front of some random suburban house at 3 in the morning, before the security team finally managed to capture him.
Okay, so that brings us right back to the beginning. How in the world do you get from that, this terrifying lab-grown monster, back to the goofy guy getting arrested in a park with some dude named Mr. Brown?
Well, the answer is the internet. Of course it is. The character's design, that kinda creepy but also friendly look, was just too good to stay inside one video game. So creators all over the internet just took him. They lifted the image, completely ignored all the scary backstory, and made him into something totally new.
And what that's done is it's created these two totally separate realities for the same character. In one world, the online world, he's just a simple, misunderstood character in fan animations, totally disconnected from where he came from. But in the other world, the original lore of the game Poppy Playtime, he's this complex, tragic monster, a key villain in a really dark story.
It's just a wild example of how modern myths are made online. A character can literally escape its own story and take on a whole new life in our collective imagination. And it leaves you with the really big question for the world we live in now, right? When a character gets adopted and remixed by the entire internet, who actually owns that story anymore? The people who made it, or all of us?